So clearly the Biden administration is a little concerned about the polls vis-a-vis Trump. To be fair, Biden has had a little bit of a surge lately, but the race is effectively dead tied, right? That's my breakdown as of now with my analysis of like all the polls, okay, all the recent polls. But what I'm about to show you is that we just got 3 colossal victories for working people and your average American. And it came one after the other after the other. So let's start with this here. This is from More Perfect Union. Breaking: the Department of Labor has raised the overtime threshold. The new rule says that everyone who makes under about $58,000 a year and works over 40 hours a week must be paid time and a half. So that number used to be about $35,000 a year. So it used to be if you make $35,000 or less and you work over 40 hours a week, they would have to pay you time and a half in that scenario. Now they upped it massively to about $58,000. Damn. So this is going to increase pay for about 4 million people. That's a big deal. That's a huge, huge deal. And look, again, to be fair, when you look at these sorts of like regulatory decisions and decisions from the various agencies under Democratic administrations, there's no doubt that under the Democratic administrations, they simply just do better things, right? The Republicans, if anything, the Republicans would try to find a way to like axe this rule completely. Like nobody gets time and a half. But the Democrats expanded it. So that is phenomenal work here, and it's going to raise pay for about 4 million people. All right, so then we also have this. This was a bit of a shocker, especially because Pete Buttigieg is the Secretary of Transportation. Breaking: airlines will now have to pay you when they mess up. The Department of Transportation has issued a new rule requiring airlines to give you an automatic refund if your flight is canceled or delayed, or if they lose your bags. So, I mean, look, you read this and your immediate thought would be like, wait, that's not already the case? Like, that's insane that wasn't already the case. But here we are. But honestly, I may have saved the best for last year. The FTC just banned non-compete agreements. The Federal Trade Commission has issued a final rule making it illegal for bosses to make workers sign non-competes in any scenario and voiding nearly all existing non-competes. This is a game changer for American workers. So let's play this. By the way, this is Lena Khan. We all know Lena Khan is the real deal, doing real work to help the American people. So let's watch this breakdown here for us. This is a huge deal, y'all.
Today, you've made a major announcement that helps millions of workers in America. Tell us what that is.
Today, the FTC has finalized a rule that will eliminate the vast majority of non-compete clauses in people's contracts. A non-compete clause is a provision that basically prevents people from taking a job with a competitor or starting a competing business, usually within a particular geographic area and for a certain period of time. So around 30 million American workers are covered by a non-compete.
The incredible number of non-compete clauses for ordinary people to keep wages low.
And so we're talking about fast food workers, security guards, nurses. We're talking about engineers, journalists, veterinarians. These are really people across sectors, across income levels.
So I could not work in my field for 1 full year within that radius.
And I hope nobody has to go through what I went through, because it was very, very emotional and very challenging.
We heard from workers who were working at a casino, got a better offer at a competing casino with higher wages, but because of the non-compete, they were locked in place. We heard stories from veterinarians who had to uproot themselves multiple times, switching states, all because a non-compete prevented them from being able to do business in the same state.
When you think of the workers and the impact on their wages and earnings in America, what do you anticipate is going to happen as a result of this non-compete ban?
Wages will go up. The average worker will make $529 more every year, which collectively means that tens of billions or hundreds of billions of dollars of wages will be going back to workers.
Help people understand why that is. So if there's hundreds of billions of dollars increasing in the economy, how did that happen?
That would happen because right now, workers are stuck in place because of these non-competes. And so even if they get a better job opportunity with higher wages, with better benefits, they can't actually switch jobs, which is bad for those workers. It's also bad for other workers who won't have the opportunities that are not being created because of these non-competes. So there's just less churn in the economy overall. There's less dynamism, and that means that wages are lower than they should be.
Corporate America, Chamber of Commerce, many of their allies want to fight this in the courtroom.
The Chamber of Commerce told us today that the FTC's rulemaking is unlawful, and they told me today it's already contemplating legal action against it.
What is our best understanding of why what you're doing today is legal and within your authority?
So the FTC Act that Congress passed clearly gives the FTC the authority to issue rules to carry out its obligations. The FTC Act also prohibits what are known as unfair methods of competition. The agency has determined that these non-competes are unfair methods of competition, and so we have the ability to issue a rule to outlaw them.
As chair of the Federal Trade Commission, one of your goals is to obviously see more competition in America. It's fair to say that if workers were given more freedom of movement, that you might also see more businesses sprout up?
Absolutely. A lot of the comments that we got were from workers that actually wanted to go start their own competing business. We heard from people in the asphalt business that saw an opportunity in the market, wanted to go start a rival firm, but weren't able to do so because they were locked in with a non-compete.
And there's actually, correct me if I'm wrong, there's attorneys and bankers who make a decent income who are also affected by non-compete agreements, right?
That's right. I mean, we got comments from across the income level. People making near minimum wage, but also people making tens of thousands of dollars or even hundreds of thousands of dollars, sharing stories about how non-competes had been devastating for their lives. We heard from doctors in rural America who shared how non-competes really limit their ability to continue providing care for their patients if they ever look to change employers. So this is having real world effects, harming Americans and harming their communities.
As you were talking, I was thinking of corporate M&A attorneys and big bankers at firms who work on mergers. And I would just want to make a point to them that Lena Khan's got your back. So you'll have more freedom of movement as a result of this non-compete ban.
So guys, huge deal. 1 in 5 American workers are restricted by non-competes. But now the FTC has issued a ban that will cover hundreds of millions of workers. Non-competes are insane. The idea that when your relationship ends with an employer, that afterwards they can still exert influence and have veto power over what you want to do with your life and your time, that's absurd. By the way, the business that I'm in, political commentary, apparently there's a lot of non-competes in this world. Obviously not, I'm, fully independent. I'm my own boss, right? So not for me, but for anybody who's had like an official pundit or commentator's job, a lot of those people get non-competes. So if somebody works for whatever, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, and then they get laid off at some point, there's usually a clause that says, sorry, you can't work in the media industry for like 2 years or something like that. Right? And they could even prevent you from starting your own thing after the fact. There's just one example. Now, look, it's much lower stakes when talking about the media, simply based on the fact that a lot of these people who get these paid gigs usually make a tremendous amount of money. So like they can absorb not working for a year or two, right? But in a lot of industries, as they laid out for you here, that's not the case. You need a stream of income. And if you can't get a job in the field that within like your state or whatever, you got to move to a different fucking state in order to make a living. What are we doing here? This is just, okay, we've let the corporations run wild. They're totally fucking out of control. And what I fear is you're going to get the lawsuits, it's going to go to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court is going to side with the corporations. Because, that's their idea of a good system. Is one where the corporations have total control. I think we've entered like a new Lochner era of the court. By the way, if you haven't read about the Lochner case, go read about the Lochner case, go read about the Lochner era. So you'll know just how broken things were. It took like the New Deal era to like snap us out a lot of that stuff. But look, ever since Reagan, we've sort of rolled back into not a good place. We live in functionally a corporatocracy or an oligarchy and big money controls everything. But now, this is just a rare instance where one government worker actually gives a shit about people and knows how to use the law to help the people. And look at the positive outcome. So I hope that they can weather all of these cases because non-competes are frankly insane. They should have never existed in the first place. And it is awesome that they're gone. Let's just hope that they stay gone. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.